Please instill us with your desire, where you'd like us to go, where we'd like it to focus. We pray through Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 And I apologize for the recording in the middle of that and not starting it sooner. Glad to have everybody here today. We're going to kick off today with our first program. So kind of a momentous occasion as we're moving right along. And then, time allowing, we're going to have a few things that we're going to talk about afterwards. So I am going to turn the floor over to Bob Walsh, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the Purple Heart veterans and helping them cope with PTSD. Bob, are you able to share your screen?
What am I have to do here? Do this?
Down at the very bottom, you should see where it says share screen.
Okay.
And then once you click that, you should be able to choose whichever screen or wherever you're presenting from. Perfect. Turn it into a slideshow there, and we can see. Yeah.
Hold on.
There you
go. See that?
Absolutely. Looks great.
Okay. All right, good. I want to talk to you about the Warrior Bonfire program. And this is a program for Purple Heart veterans, post 9/11 Purple Heart veterans. And I'll go through this, and I think the program will become self-explanatory. But they're really three most important needs that people have. There are three basic human needs: to be loved, to feel important, to feel secure. For a veteran, though, particularly one that's been through combat, that changes, and it's different. One, not to be loved, but they have to find new purpose because they're coming back from a war environment. Number two, to feel important really translates into to know that civilians really care about their sacrifice that they've made for their freedom, because they've been under war conditions. And the third thing to feel secure is they need to stay connected with the military family while they're reconnecting with their home family. These guys are at combat, and women are in combat, and they depend on each other for their lives. And the bond that they build when they're in service is tremendously strong. It's something that I really began to understand how strong it was, and I really didn't initially, but it's tremendously strong. And when they come back from being in Iraq or in Afghanistan in their Purple Heart, they've been wounded, they have a tough time letting go of that bond and readmitting back into society. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle for these veterans returning from combat. So there's three numbers I really would like you to remember. These three are very important: 22, 75, and 60,000. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. 22 veterans commit suicide. Think about that a moment. What's worse is that 75 veterans attempt suicide every day. So that 22 could be higher. I heard some good news today from a gentleman with the VA. 22 has gone down to 18, so they're making a little progress. But still, that's way too many. But think about this. More U.S. veterans have committed suicide in the last decade than died in the Vietnam War. Now, if that doesn't get your attention, nothing will. That's horrible. Now, is this close to home? Is it happening in Alabama? This was in the press register. I moved here a little over 2 years ago, and this was in the press register not too long after I moved here. A gentleman named John McGregor. He was from Mobile. He was an Eagle Scout. He was an athlete in high school. He was a Marine. And when he got out of the Marines, he dedicated his life to helping homeless veterans in the Birmingham area. At 32 years old, he laid himself across a set of railroad tracks and committed suicide. And I don't know about you, but we have a saying, we see people in service, thank you for your service. Well, sometimes I believe somehow thank you for your service just doesn't seem good enough when a person gives his life like this. So what is post-traumatic stress symptoms? And I draw this difference for a reason I'll show you in a minute. PTS for soldiers is when they witness an event harmful to other people, even the enemy. For combat vets, it's when they kill an enemy soldier or they see one getting killed. It's really more distressing than being wounded themselves. And by far, losing a friend or buddy is the most distressing thing that can happen. And really this turns into survivor's guilt for the people that are coming home. And it's really tragic. So what is PTSS and what is PTSD? You've heard about PTS stress symptoms. It's the things that we hear about the most, like nightmares, startling reflex responses, loud noises, being approached. They can overcome this and they can subside over time, and the individual can learn to control them. But when you have PTSD, it's a disorder. And it won't go away and it becomes disruptive in their life. And you have to learn how to control and manage the symptoms. And it's one of those methods that we have to learn how to give them the support system to talk about it. One of the biggest problems that these men have and women have is they cannot talk about it. They hate to talk about it. And it's really hurting for them. So the mission for the Warrior Bonfire program is to provide opportunities that improve the lives of the Purple Heart veterans on a lifelong journey. And it is a lifelong journey for them to help them heal and become really reestablish the bond at their home. At their home is so important. And you'll see this in a minute. And really the goal is to help them live a guilt-free life and become productive in our society. Let's look at this for a minute. I don't know how.
And to give us a recap of some of that, I don't have sound. I don't know if others do.
Oh, hold on. Basically, just a minute. Let me see if I can get it moving again.
It's laggy and we don't have the sound.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's basically I have another video I'll show you in a minute, but it's basically he's really trying to say that these men have to heal from within, and it's so important that they do that. And there are several points I'd like you to take away if you had been able to see the voice, the video, is that PTS does not go away. It's hard to recover from, but the condition can be helped. I want to really stress this bond. It's an extremely strong team bond that's developed between the soldiers, and because their life or death really is predicated on the health of a team when they're in combat, and it's so critical. But once out of the military, the bond is lost by many, and no one to talk through. I interviewed one gentleman, and he told me he was in his 90s, and he was one of their latest veterans of World War II I've ever met. And anyway, he told me, he says, I don't have anybody to talk to anymore because they've all passed away. I can't call anyone and talk my way out of it. And that's one of the things that they gain on these retreats that we have with them. So what is the effect on the family? Well, returning vets really won't communicate about what they've been through in war with their spouse. And the wife is frustrated because she wants to help, but she doesn't know how, and he won't share and communicate. She becomes annoyed because he spends all his time phone, texting, and communicating to his buddies that he had in the combat days. And while he was deployed, she had to do everything. And now that he's home, he can't or doesn't do it her way. So she just doesn't like that. She steps in and does it. So therefore he withdraws, feels isolated, useless. And guess what? He gets back on the phone with his buddies, begins in text. That cycle, it recycles itself. The wife has to work to support the family because the effects of the PTS on the veterans are really too severe for them to work. And she worries about what's happening at home while at work. How are the kids? Is he thinking about suicide? The spouses of returning vets often experience secondary post-traumatic stress. They get it. And the goal that we have as our program is to really reach out and help them when they're in their valley of discouragement, to try to help reduce these suicides. So we have a retreat. It's a couples retreat. We have it here in the Gulf Shores area. Rotary supports it along with other individuals and organizations, and it really is to help and strengthen the marriages of these returning Purple Heart veterans. And why do these marriages need help? Well, several reasons. When older couples, and these guys are getting older, 30, 40 years old now, they have to manage a great number of health issues, but these marriages are going to experience 30 to 40 years of constant medical stress, multiple surgeries, and unknown complications due to war wounds. They sometimes continue to have this outburst of nightmare and distress, and it becomes injurious to themselves and also to loved ones. And they're often on a fixed income, which adds financial strain, and many of it turns into mismanagement of funds. And basically, these marriages are facing challenges like we all do, except they're on steroids. And so we have to do something because the divorce rate amongst these people is rising. So the program is based on the book, The 5 Love Languages. Any of you have ever read this book or seen this book? You should. Yeah, my wife and I put on this program for these vets. We take them away for 3 days. We take them down to Gulf Shores. We lock them up in a room and we do things. And Nancy and I present a 3-day work session on the 5 love languages. And just to go over it real quick, the truth we're missing is people speak different love languages. And our primary love language is learned from the way we grew up through our parents and our siblings. Mine is different from yours. We were raised differently. And we tend to speak our primary love language. And I can tell you mine and my wife's, Nancy, are different. And we didn't know that till we really got into this book. And it's amazing how we were trying to communicate, but weren't really communicating. Seldom do a husband and wife have the same primary love language. And if your primary love language is not equal to that primary love language of your spouse, and no matter how hard you try, you're never going to be able to communicate love to your spouse. It's just really tough. So we take them through the session and we give them a test and we teach them and can teach them what their love language is, and more importantly, what's the love language of their spouse. And so you can see the 5 love languages there, and then we teach them various things about communication and actions they can take to help improve the communication between themselves. Words of physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, all of these things we go into detail with them, and we give them little work sessions so they can begin to practice and work on this in their marriage. And one of the things we stress over and over and over and over again is don't live in the past. Gary Chapman said, I'm amazed at how many individuals mess up every day with yesterday and insist on bringing into today the failures of yesterday. And in so doing, they pollute a potentially wonderful present. For example, I can't believe you did that. I don't think I'll ever forget it. You can't possibly know how much you hurt me. I don't know how you can just sit there so smugly after you treated me that way. You ought to be crawling back on your knees, begging me for forgiveness. I don't know if I can ever forgive you. Those are the things that show that their bitterness and resentment and revenge, and they're not words of love, and they linger in their marriage. And it's amazing when we went through this. It's a 3-day session. On the first day, we asked them to sit down and say, "Tell me how you were wounded in the war." And when they go around and say that, they're with 3 other veterans and 3 other veterans' wives. For the first time, these wives have just heard how their husband was wounded in battle. And the walls begin to come down because they're with other wives and with other veterans. And so the walls come down and they can begin to talk for the first time in a long time. and sometimes many times. It's the only time they've ever talked. We can't erase the past, but we have to accept it as history. And we really keep going back over this. And yes, it happened. Certainly it hurt. And it still may hurt, but they have to get moved forward. Did it help? Did it have any impact? Well, I'm going to show you this gentleman's picture in a few minutes. One of the veterans that were on our retreat, Jeremy, who attended with his wife, walked up to the president of the Warrior Bonfire Program at a later retreat, about a month later. And these were his comments, completely unsolicited. I didn't realize until attending the couples event that my wife and I really didn't understand my needs, and I didn't know hers. The retreat gave us the time to open up on some issues through structured group discussions in the company of other couples experiencing the same things. So it was easier for them to talk, and it proved to be beneficial. And this guy said, this couple's retreat saved my marriage. And I didn't solicit that. That came back a month later when I got a phone call about it, and it made me feel better that we had done something. You always wonder when you do these things if you have any impact, and looks like with this gentleman and his wife, we did. In fact, the top picture on the left, I don't know if you can see my mouse. This is the couple that I just talked about. These are the three couples that were on the retreat. They were from Georgia. They were from Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana, and they were from South Texas. So they were flown in for their retreat. We had a boat trip planned for them. We couldn't take the boat trip because of the weather. So we went over to the Naval Air Museum in Pensacola, and it was a great day. I've never been there, and it was my first. It was just stunning to see that place. And we did have weather clear up enough for us to go on a Segway trip around Gulf State Park, which they really enjoyed. These are just some different pictures. This was one of the Rotary clubs here in Fairhope. Did a big barbecue cookout for them. And this is just some of the pictures from the barbecue, from the cookout. And so really it's dedicated to really, we have a bonfire, and I'll show you this just a second. We have a bonfire at the end of the session where we mix all of the ashes from all of the bonfires held since the very first retreat from 2012. We collect them, we send them back into the Warrior Bonfire Program headquarters office. They mix them all up, and they send them back out to be mixed in with the next upcoming bonfire. And each veteran at the bonfire that we have that night gets to retire we retire an American flag. I got to do it the last time. It was the first time I've ever done that. We retire American flag, and each veteran is given a white stripe, a red stripe, and a stripe of stars. And we give the wife a red stripe or a white stripe or a blue stripe, and the wife gets the husband dedicates it to, or the wife, if she's in the service, dedicates it to someone they lost in the service. And the wife dedicates the stripe to something they want to improve that they learned on the retreat. Let's look at this. So these are the various areas of the nation that we've held retreats. You can see it's all over. There's us down there in Gulf Shores. And to date, this is, of course, my pitch to all Rotary clubs. I need money, I want money. And but the one that there's about 7,500 post 9/11 Purple Heart medals been issued. We've got about 350 Warrior Bonfire members, so we're growing. We started from nothing in 2012. We're trying to get the word out. We've had about over 150 total program events. It costs about $10,000 to $15,000 to fund a retreat for 6 Purple Heart couples, and the cost for one Purple Heart veteran is about $1,500 in a retreat. So, if a person wants to help, or a Rotary club wants to help, which they are, this is the various ways they can give money or give to the program. And a big thank you. That's all I have, Carla. I don't know how to get it back to you.
You should be able to just click stop sharing up at the top. It should be a little red block if you mouse around for a second.
Ah, yes. There we go.
Oops. There, perfect. Thank you so much.
Very good. Enjoyed it.
A lot of interesting information that I never knew.
Does anybody have any questions?
How many of these have you attended, Bob? How many have you attended?
I've attended 4. I've held 2. 2 of the 4 that I've held 2 here in South Alabama. One was just a veterans only retreat, men's only retreat. But the feedback that we've received so much was that it really needed to be a husband and wife couples retreat. And so we had the first couples retreat in the March of this year. And that's the one Nancy and I put on. That's where the pictures are from.
And
so,
how often do they occur around the nation?
There's 1 or 2 a month. Sometimes 3 a month. The next retreat we're scheduling for either April or June. I'm trying to work the dates out right now. It's going to depend on finding a place down in Gulf Shores to hold it where we can hold 10 people. So I'm scouting right now. I have a place that we can use. Last time it can be done in April. I prefer to do it in June when it's warmer weather and we can walk the beach. So anyway, I'm in the working stages right now trying to put it on. So if anybody knows of anybody in Gulf Shores area, Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, that has a beach house that they're willing to let veterans use, please let me know. I'd love to talk to them.
Bob, that was a wonderful story.
Oh, thank you, Bruce.
Absolutely. Any other questions from our gallery out here?
Oh, too nice.
Bob, thank you so much for being the first. It sounds like a fantastic program. And I hope, at some point, maybe this is something that we can look towards helping to fund one of the programs. I think that would be spectacular. And I'd like to spend more time talking to you about how some of the clubs have done that. And I'm certainly open to anybody else who.
Well, one of the things, this was a tough year for all the clubs because of the inability to meet and donate money and things. And so several clubs just gave a couple $300 and chipped it together, and we paid for the Segway.
Bob?
Yes.
This is Bill. I'd like to be a part of that in some way, and been through the 5 languages, but tell me how I can plug in. You don't have to tell me now, but tell me how I can plug in later.
No problem. I'll do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We'll appreciate it.
There's some contact information. I know somebody that has a beach condo in Orange Beach that's a veteran, and he would probably be very generous.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that would be great.
He's also a Rotarian too, so I'm sure he'd be very generous.
Okay, why don't we
That would
talk?
be awesome.
Lisa, let's talk.
Certainly.
All right, we'll let y'all get together after sometime in the coming weeks or week and discuss that. Very cool. Sorry, typing. All right, so had a few more things we're gonna move on and cover real quick. Earlier today, I sent out an email to everybody about the Facebook page. Please go take a look. Not a lot out there. I picked up a couple of video and a couple of Facebook posts that Rotary International has out on their site that we can use. There's some other things out there. I'm probably going to get with Bob to send some of this information to me from today's post so that we can get some of that up on the Facebook page. But anything that y'all think we could get up to encourage others to see what we're about and to start really focusing in on how we start developing some service projects, I think would be fantastic. Membership is going to be key for us. We want to hit 20. We're at about 14 right now in order to charter. And, you know, I want to keep everybody motivated as we move down this path. Still looking for some key roles. So if anybody happens to know an accountant out there who would like to be a member of the club and join as our treasurer, we'll take them. And need somebody to act as secretary still. So a few of those things to go, but we are moving along. I'm excited about the people that we're seeing, Karen. Very excited to have you here and hope that you're able to spread the word with those other people who you know in your club. And if each of y'all would take the Facebook page and share to your pages and start spreading the word that way. There's a prospective member form that I can send out as well, so that you can just send information. And if you want to give them my contact information or the email address for Rotary, for our Rotary Club, we have one set up. It's rotarypassport6880@gmail.com. And that's in the article that was sent out. I can also send that to you separately. Anybody can ask questions through that. I'm happy to respond and would welcome any feedback from any of y'all. Any thoughts or comments on social media presence or what y'all are looking for at this point? Okay.
Carl, I'm just excited about the possibilities of this passport club. I think we're still in the crawling stages, but the potential is great. And I appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, thank you. I have help with a lot of people and engaged people. And one of the things I do want to mention, I'm particularly excited about, Karen didn't realize when she messaged me that I was going to latch on with my little meat hooks and hang on, but she's got some contacts with some clubs and some people in Turkey and some other things that she's had experience with as a Rotarian. And it's going to give us an opportunity, I believe, to branch out and really start looking at clubs and other people in other areas and start crafting this into a multicultural, multi-location group of people where we can start seeing an impact that we can have everywhere. And that to me is one of the most exciting things. So I'm very excited to have that resource available. And each of you, you know, Lisa, in talking earlier, Lisa's been a Rotarian for about 18 years and has experience. Munich, you've been involved, and Omar, I think you've been involved. So we have great experience. And then we have some people who are eager and ready and have never been Rotarians, but have been involved with other clubs like Anat with Toastmasters. And we're fortunate tonight that we have Bruce. For those of you who aren't as familiar with Rotary's process, when the year turns, that occurs on July 1st, and new leadership rolls into place. Bruce is our new district governor for District 6880, and we're happy to have him involved. Hopefully, Jerry Blacklaw will still join us every once in a while, but they've swapped the gavel. And initiatives are coming up. Bruce, you want to speak to any of that real quickly for this 21-22 year?
Well, we've got a lot of initiatives. I think I've spoke to 4 clubs already this week, and they got, I think, 6 more to go is all. And then, of course, next week's full. We're mostly around the Mobile area right now. So, you know, this Passport Club is, let's see, my battery's getting low. I may lose you if I leave you, it's because my battery's low. But I'm excited about the Passport Club, and I just wish the very best for this club, and there'll be more to come, I'm sure.
Thank you for being here, and we're glad to have you as our new district governor, and appreciate your presence and your guidance. I want to take just a minute. We've got a couple of minutes left to hear from Bill, if he's still willing and able. Just a real quick, we're still trying to spotlight a member, and anybody who wants to be our next spotlight, please send me a message. Otherwise, we'll voluntold instead of volunteer. But Bill has volunteered. Yeah, Munich, you're familiar with that, aren't you? Yeah. But Bill, if you are free for a minute, there you are, and your smiling face. Unmute. Yeah, unmute, and then give us just a quick overview of who you are and how you got here. Still muted.
Hey, Bruce, tell Bruce to mute.
Yeah, Bruce, you might want to mute. I've got some background noise. And Bill, you're still muted if you want to unmute. I don't know that I can do it for you with this program.
Am I there? Am I there?
There you are. Hey.
All right, good, good. Well, let's see. Got married in 1971, went to Turkey in February of 72. Then my wife came over in, I guess, July, and I carried her back home in December, pregnant. Saw my first child when she was 2 years old. No, 2 months old, sorry about that. Anyway, I've been working with the benefits out at Coleman American for 15 years and working with Carla for about 7 years. I pastor a church in Dothan, Alabama that I've been at for also 15 years. I am sharing several interests that Bob has, and that marriage seminars and things of that nature, and also small groups. And the thing that I'm liking about this Rotary Club, I was able to be a part of it several years ago, but I got out of it, just time constraints, things of that nature. And I missed it the whole time. And so I'm looking forward to what we're able to do here. When I hear things like working with wounded warriors or veterans or whatever, my ears, they perk up. Whenever I hear about anybody that knows anything about Turkey, my ears perk up because I still want to go back. There's some unfinished business of some places I need to see over there. And I've actually lived in a couple of places off-site from the base that's now closed. But beyond that, I am slowing down some in the role of doing voluntary benefits, doing more with Medicare and things of that nature, so that hopefully I can have a little bit more free time. Right now, I am in McKinney, Texas with my son and two of my grandkids, his children. One of them is 5 and the other is 6.5. And they are a handful. Nana's doing a wonderful job. I'm along for the ride. And I showed my granddaughter my belt and I asked her, do you know what this is for? Just fake. And I said, no, to hold my pants up. So she's not quite learned that yet, but we've had a good bit of fun today with them. Be praying for us. We're going to be looking for a camper for my son in the next couple of days and help him get better situated. But not sure that I've said enough or left enough out, but that's me.
Thank you very much. It's a good you, and I have had the privilege and pleasure of having him by my side, and he's always said he's the strength in my weakest arm, and that he has been. And I think he's a great addition to this club and to Rotary in general, because I know he is a man of a giving heart. So I'm glad to have him aboard.
Yeah, Carla.
Yes.
Carla, if you need a little mini program in the next few weeks, I'd love to share the polio recognition project, our Tuskegee project, in the near future. So just keep that in mind if you need
Absolutely.
something.
Absolutely. And when is the Purple Pinkies project? When does that happen?
Well, Robert Greer from Mobile usually initiates that, and he's been sent several reminders that time's getting close. So I have not heard a date, but the pressure is on for him to get something going.
Will we sell donuts again, or will it be different this year? Do you know? It's a Purple Pinky Donuts thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's usually the project, and
Okay.
we just got to find a better way to streamline the process. Last year, for our district was pretty labor intensive, and we've got to get some local Dunkin' Donuts involved so we don't have so far to drive.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about if you work in an office environment or anywhere there's people, they eat donuts. That's the easy one to sell. So we should be able to participate with that. Well, I think we've had a fantastic meeting. I think best one yet. Really appreciate Bob and the time you spent to bring us your program, and Bruce for being here, Bill for the wisdom of who you are and your presence, and all of the rest of you for being along with us. I will post the link for this, and again, please share anything that you can with anybody who may be interested, prior Rotarians, ex-Rotarians, never Rotarians. We're looking for those people who just want to serve in the communities and in the world. Does anybody have any thoughts or comments before we end for the evening?
You know, when I was working, which has been a few years, then I had a boss who used to tell me, you know, Bob, you got to get your A in gear. And so Rotary, what we have to do is get our ask in gear and ask people to come join. Okay, ask people to come see who we're all about. And once we do that and they see our intent, they've got to be interested, or they're just, I don't, maybe not cut out for Rotary, but you know, we have to get them in to see what we're doing, and we got to ask them to come in. The worst thing they can tell you is no.
Yeah, and think a little outside of the box. One of the things that happened during Bruce's installation dinner, actually, we had a reporter from WDHN, which is a local network here, young guy and a buddy of his who had been interested in Rotaract, and we were just talking about it, talking about Rotary in general, talking about the Passport Club, and they both were like, that sounds great. And it's a unique format, and for the millennial to do everything online, this is a good option for them. So don't just think coworkers, don't just think those older people you see on the street. We want to get those young, vigorous people who want to get their feet down on the dirt and do some work. It takes all types to make this work. There's those who just give and those who work, and a combination somewhere in between. And so don't leave any out. I think my husband's going to join. He's been listening to me do this for a while, and he likes the people he's met. And I think that he's decided that, and he doesn't join anything. So I think he's excited about that. So don't forget your spouses. They can also be Rotarians and work with you, like Bruce and Bob, who travel with them and help them out on different projects and things. So it's sometimes a comfortable fit, and they can also contribute to what's going on. But I want to thank each of you for being here, and all of you who weren't able to be here but are watching this later. Hope to see you in person and live at a future one. And certainly make sure you let us know when you've watched on the link so that I can mark attendance for that. And I hope to see each of the rest of you back in 2 weeks. It'll be on Thursday next time. I'll send out the invite to everybody again so you can get that on your calendars. Thoughts, ideas, please shoot me a message and we'll get you linked up with whoever you need to link up with. And happy to help everybody out. And with that, I think we will do our 4-way test. And for those of you who don't necessarily know the 4-way test by heart, can you see it? Yes, thumbs up, 4-way test, okay. So the 4-way test of the things you think, say, or do. Is it the truth?
Is it true?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Goodwill and better friendships.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Beneficial to all concerned.
And it has been fantastic seeing each of you. And thank you very much. Have a great 2 weeks. Go forth and conquer. My staff used to hear me say that all the time after every meeting. So we're going to go forth and conquer. We're going to be out there in the world. And thank y'all very much. Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.